Dave Matthews Band, our featured band all season long on Saturday Night Football, including songs from their new album, Big Whiskey and the Gru Grux King. And we welcome you back to Saturday Night Football, presented by Southwest Airlines. A lot at stake, most notably first place in the Big 12 South, sole possession thereof. They're both undefeated in Big 12 play. Texas leads Oklahoma State 24-7. And Sean McDonough and Matt Millen, we welcome you back. Interesting half. Pretty even in terms of the ball moving up and down the field. A couple turnovers really hurt Oklahoma State. And as is often the case in a game that is hotly contested, a lot of focus on some of the calls and replay reviews. Some of the Oklahoma State people didn't like this call against Lucian Antoine.
Well, and what they're going to say, you know, A, he's defenseless, and then B is he can't target. What targeting means really is going high. Man, that's the big thing. So if he would just aim lower, that would have been a fine play, because you have to do something to be able to get, you know, not have him catch the pass.
Now we question why this play was not reviewed as Texas was driving for a score.
Yeah.
The replay official, when we spoke to him at halftime, didn't know what play we were talking about. I guess it's a moot point because Texas recovered, but there was yardage gained on the fumble.
Exactly. That should have been 4 more yards for Texas. And then this one here with Andre Sexton, this is the one that's a tough one for me. And I spoke at halftime with a couple of people, and you know, that one there, I'm listening for a whistle. The whistle came later after this thing happened. Now, I'm also looking at for the mechanics of the officials. And the mechanics of the officials from upstairs are looking downstairs to see when an arm goes up to stop the play. And I went back and watched that at halftime, and the arm never came up until after Sexton had the ball. So that was a tough one.
We did speak with Walt Anderson, the supervisor official, Big 12 at halftime. The kickoff goes out of the end zone off the foot of Quinn Sharp, and he believed the officials did make the right call on the targeting. It's a point of emphasis this year. It doesn't matter where the ball is or if he had already initiated the act of making a tackle, which you're supposed to do if the ball's there. They're going to be instructed to call that. He believes Greg Burks and the crew got that right. I mentioned that Texas recovered the 1 fumble, so that didn't seem to be as big a deal. And it was the replay official who told us that because forward progress had been deemed to have been stopped on the field, he couldn't step in. But he said he figured that out, as you said, because the official was running in with his arm in the air. When we looked at the replay, he didn't come in with his arm in the air until Sexton was about 8 yards down the field with the ball.
Well, one thing I'll say about calls, and this is the great thing about this game, you talk to the coaches on the sideline, the players in the front, that's gone. That's long gone, and you move on. And right now it's 24-7, and Texas is in control, and Oklahoma State has beat themselves. You can't do anything about the calls have been called, and you live with them, and they'll do that.
2 turnovers were much bigger by Oklahoma State, led to 14 points for Mack Brown and the Longhorns. After Fozzie Whittaker carried on first down for 4, he gets the call on second down for 2. And we call in Holly Rowe.
Well, I talked to Texas coach Mack Brown at the half, and he said he told his guys that they've got to get a better pass rush. They have to protect Colt McCoy because he's hot. And then he warned them about Mike Gundy, what he's doing on 4th down. He said you can't be in 3-down mentality. They're down 17. They're going to go for trick. Guys, you have to be aware on 4th down. And the last note, Aaron Williams, their cornerback, is out for the game. Right knee injury. Sean?
All right, Holly, thank you. Texas out with 2 rushes. At 58 yards rushing in the first half. They go to the air. McCoy converts again on 3rd down. Marquise Goodwin to the 36-yard line. We'll check that Dan Buckner the catch to the 36-yard line for the flex tight end out of Allen, Texas. Good for a 10-yard gain.
Well, to echo what Holly said and Coach Mack Brown said, Colt McCoy is hot. Colt McCoy is in control of this football game. He's in control of his game right now. And when they give him time, he's going to find some people down. Bill Young, the defensive coordinator, as we said earlier, is mixing a lot of things up. And Colt McCoy needs a little bit of time just to be able to spot the open guy, and he's been doing a great job.
With a wide-open Heisman race, he is re-emerging as one of the favorites. Deep throw, and it is caught! Malcolm Williams with his 2nd big catch of the night. Coverage was fairly tight from Andrew McGee. Well, that's a big gainer all the way to the 20-yard line of Oklahoma State. Good for 44.
Well, Mack Brown said it, and his offensive line responded. And because they responded, Colt McCoy can step and throw, throws it to the middle of the field where there's no help in there, and Williams comes down with a big play.
For as even as the game has been statistically, Texas in position now to take perhaps firm control of this game early in the second half. Cody Johnson rumbles inside the 15. Down to the 13. Good for 7. Chris Donaldson and Parrish Cox combine on the stop.
Cody Johnson's a powerful guy. And he's one of those guys kind of a little herky-jerky. But once he gets going, he's tough to stop. And in the open field, you get a smaller defender, he's going to take him with him.
They give it to him down around the goal line. Take advantage of that nearly 250-pound frame. Cowboys showing a blitz and movement across the line of scrimmage. Going to be a false start against Texas.
False start, 74 the offense. 5-yard penalty, second down.
On the veteran senior, Adam Ulatowski. I think his 37th career start out of Southlake, Texas.
And he's been solid over there the whole time. Not a lot of, you don't get a lot of action coming off that left side with Ulatowski. Tough guy, uses his hands well, good movement.
Greg Davis, the offensive coordinator, says he's the leader of that line and very astute. And frequently tell you after the play exactly what happened, what the defense did, why their line responded the way it did. Not every player can do that at the pace of the game. And now a lot of time taken. Too much by Colt McCoy.
Delay, offense, 5-yard penalty, second down.
Rare mistake by Colt McCoy.
McCoy parents, Brad and Deborah. Brad was his high school coach. Colt noticed Deborah is his toughest critic.
Isn't that the way it always is?
Yeah, after a game, she'll ask, why'd you throw it to that guy? He was covered. She probably wants to know why he shoveled it to Fozzie Whitaker with Jamie Blatnick so close.
Yeah, Blatnick comes in. Looked like he was out in the middle of a stunt, but he did a good job of redirecting. Mom will ask him about that, guaranteed.
She's an athlete. She was a fine basketball player at Abilene Christian. Dad played football there. Dad's roommate at Abilene Christian was Bob Shipley, Jordan's dad. Of course, Jordan and Colt McCoy are roommates and best pals at Texas, and they each have a younger brother likely to play football at Texas. Colt throws it short. Juggling catch by Greg Smith. Down at the 23-yard line. Remember the younger brothers, Case McCoy is a quarterback and Jackson Shipley a wide receiver. They played against each other last Friday night a week ago. It was a one-point game won by the Shipley's team on a blocked extra point. Both of those young men are coached by their dads. And Case McCoy is already committed to Texas, and the belief is Jackson will wind up Jackson Shipley at Texas as well. Hunter Lawrence on for a long field goal try. Right down the middle with plenty to spare from 40 yards out. Good start to the second half for the Longhorns. They widen the lead out to 20. Back in Stillwater, Oklahoma, time for tonight's Pacific Life game summary. Texas, with that opening drive to the second half, has taken the total yardage lead from Oklahoma State. They've not yet had the ball in the second half. Those 2 turnovers were key. Texas turned them into 14 points, one of them on an interception return for a touchdown by Curtis Brown of 77 yards.
You know, really, it's been a pretty even football game. And really, Oklahoma State has hurt themselves with the turnovers, like you said, Sean. But they've been battling here.
Justin Tucker's kickoff. Down to Parrish Cox. He has 4 career kickoff returns for touchdowns, and it took the kicker, Justin Tucker, to get him down. Though we mentioned Colt McCoy, Jordan Shipley are good pals and roommates, and their younger brothers have already formed a friendship. They met on the field on opposing teams. Case McCoy, the quarterback for Graham, They were undefeated heading into that matchup a week ago Friday with Brownwood. Case did a great job. Threw for over 400 yards. Where's the number 4 his brother wore in high school? It was Jackson Shipley with 9 catches. His brother George says, yeah, he's probably better than me. And it went down to an extra point. And the Brownwood team, coached by Bob Shipley, with Jackson at wide receiver, won 28-27. Mild upset win over Graham. Roderick McElroy makes the tackle on Bo Johnson. And after that game, their parents, the Shipleys and the McCoys, hustled off to go watch the University of Texas play. And Case and Jackson wound up staying with each other. And they become good friends. They're at these Texas games all the time, hanging around, watching their brothers star for the Longhorns.
Well, they sure have good role models, number one. And number two, that stuff's just inbred in them. They've been around football their whole lives. They look just like their brothers. It's amazing.
Case was a ball boy, and there's an interception. Earl Thomas, his 6th of the year, and another non-offensive touchdown for Texas. 2nd of the game, 9th of the season, and the route is on for the Horns.
Earl Thomas read it the whole way. Zach Robinson never saw it. They know he's in throwing mode. Thomas just sat back there. The safety made a great break on the ball, and it was gone.
Earl Thomas, 6 interceptions this season. That one brought back for a score, and they're doing it to Zach Robinson, the pass efficiency leader in the Big 12. Hunter Lawrence, the extra point. This game is fairly even no longer. 34-7, Texas. They had the only loss of their season a year ago on Halloween weekend to Texas Tech, a loss that cost them dearly. Trying to avoid that history repeating, and they are doing it now convincingly as they intercept Zach Robinson for the 2nd time and bring it back for a score. Earl Thomas this time make it 34-7. Tucker kicks off again. Here's Victor Johnson. Well, Mac Brown says our defense and our special teams are as good as they have been since I've been at Texas. Who can argue? Here's the Southwest Airlines playbook.
And Earl Thomas right there is going to be a really good player by the time he's done at Texas. I want you to watch him. This is a combination coverage. He's going to start trying to take away the inside right there. Now watch his eyes go back. He's looking here, but at this break, his eyes go back to the quarterback. Now he's going to try to take away the inside, and it's a great break right to the QB, and it's 6 points. Really, really well done by Earl Thomas.
31-yard return for the sophomore from Orange, Texas. Keith Tostin up the middle. And this crowd that was electric all day, even before the game, walking into the stadium, you could hear and feel the anticipation for this one, billed by many the biggest game in the history of the program, the biggest in this stadium. They expect the largest crowd ever at Oklahoma State. The stadium has been expanded during the renovations. They are a glum bunch right now. Tostin a 4-yard run at 2nd and 6. Swung out to Keith Tostin, and he's very near a 1st down. We send it back to Matt Weiner in New York.
As you see, Oregon has a 10-point lead on the Trojans, who are moving into Duck territory.
There's my national coach of the year so far, Chip Kelly. At Oregon, the great response to that ugly episode on the opening night. Great play by Lamar Houston on a 3rd down and short. Bo Johnson stopped short of the marker. Mike Gundy went for the first possession of the night, 4th down and 1, inside his own 30.
They're going to punt here.
I don't understand that. I mean, you're down by 27. You said at the half, you know, we're here to win the game. You got to score a lot of points if you're going to win the game now.
got a lot of points to make up. But he can also do that by getting some field position better than this.
Quinn Sharp punts, fair catch signaled by Shipley. Had a lot of room. Made the catch at the 37.
Tomorrow Nicky Bobby. He's dressed up as Mark Martin.
Ozzie Whitaker and some members of our crew last night at the Halloween bowling party, dressed up as NASCAR drivers. Whitaker was tackled by Hugo Chinasa. I'm going with Kurt Busch second.
He nailed it last week.
I picked Gordon to win last week too. He didn't win, but he was close. And I had Denny Hamlin second. He won the race, so we're all around it. But Jeff Gordon's due.
Jeff Gordon is outstanding, and Mark Martin's still going to win.
He's good at restrictor plates, Jeff Gordon. You're good around any plates, as I've seen this year.
Especially the dinner plate.
Yes, that's the one I had in mind. McCoy tackled by Donald Booker. He's done a nice job this year at middle linebacker. He was scheduled to be a backup this season, but when Ori Lemon was hurt prior to the year, he stepped in at an important spot, making the calls on that defense, and he's done it well.
Yes, he has. He's been very active, and he added a little speed to the defense.
And you have the feeling, because Mac Brown doesn't want to throw it back into the system, he uses the term style points. They're important in this BCS era. You got to keep playing aggressively, keep trying to score. He's such a gentleman. In the past, he's called off the dogs and been criticized for it by some. Nice play by Lucian Antoine. They finally got McCoy on the ground.
Good job by Oklahoma State in the coverage. Again, they rushed 3 and dropped 8, and they had all the underneath coverage on top of the receivers. And McCoy, he couldn't find anything, so he tried to scramble around. And like you said, Antoine comes back and makes a nice play.
And they will punt. Here's Justin Tucker with Parrish Cox back deep. Parrish is one of those native Texans. He's from Waco, who was recruited by Texas, but he said they were pushing him to make a decision. He wanted to take a little longer to ponder the decision, so they moved on. And he moved on to Oklahoma State. Nice punt out of bounds at the 10-yard line. They had the head-to-head win over Oklahoma last year, but in the end that wasn't enough, and the BCS numbers were crunched. Oklahoma went on to the Big 12 title game. No chance to play for the league championship, the national title. No Heisman for Colt McCoy. So Mac Brown with that number resonating. 0.0128 all year long, and reinforcing that number this week, Holly.
And he kept telling his kids, we only have to be just that much better. And the 2 guys who were victimized on that Michael Crabtree play, guys, tonight each guy has a pick 6. I'd say they're 0.0128 better.
Even better than that. They have been terrific tonight against the good Oklahoma State team that was basically matching them for a while, blow for blow, until Colt McCoy and the Longhorns opened it up. Hubert Anium the catch for a first down for Oklahoma State out to the 20-yard line. They had to start deep in their own territory after that nice 52-yard punt by Justin Tucker.
You see Curtis Brown out there on the outside looking at his wristband, and they're staying out. Nobody gets into the huddle, and they're staying in their position, and then they relay all the signals to each other.
Pump fake by Robinson, and another one up for grabs and picked off. Here's another guy who had a nightmare in Lubbock with the bit of redemption, Blake Gideon. He had a chance for an interception right before the Crabtree score, but dropped the ball. Didn't drop it that time. 4th interception of his year. And Texas takes over on the 4th Oklahoma State turnover of the night.
Just good discipline by Blake Gideon. And watch him just sitting back, able to go both ways. He has a receiver on either side, just reading the quarterback's eyes, and once the ball is thrown, it's make the break and make the play.
31-yard return. Robinson's completed 9 of his last 12, but the 3 misses have all been interceptions. Colt McCoy keeps. Andre Sexton the tackle.
We we said it earlier, this Texas secondary is talented, and it's young, and it can run, and it has big play in them all over the place, particularly on the corners.
They have the feel for Gideon. He took a lot of heat last year. But, you know, it's a 60-minute game, or any number of plays that could have made a huge difference in deciding the outcome. Cody Johnson stopped at the 5-yard line near that first down line. It was Donald Booker who made the nice tackle.
That's a good tackle, but Cody Johnson's a powerful guy, like you said, and when you get ready to tackle him, you better bring all your pads, and you better have a lot behind him. Because if you go in with an arm tackle or just kind of a half attack, you're going to get run right through. There's a first down, and that's 1st and goal.
Antoine Cobb lined up at fullback in the eye in front of Cody Johnson. Johnson gets a yard to the 4. There is a flag now. It looked like there was movement along the defensive line for Oklahoma State. Another tackle for Donald Booker. Penalties have been a problem this year for Oklahoma State, one of the most penalized teams in the country.
Offside, number 90 of the defense. Half the distance, first down.
Swanson Miller offside. I think Oklahoma State was called for 5 penalties last week at Baylor, and that was their season low. There are teams around the country averaging fewer than 5 penalties per game. Cody Johnson walks in. Touchdown. Following the block of Antoine Cobb. Style points aplenty now for number 3 Texas.
And that's that power we were just talking about. This ran through an arm tackle, and you're not going to bring this guy down with arm. You got to get a full body on him. Right there, see, Blatnick had a chance, and he just ran right through it.
Hunter Lawrence adds the extra point. 41-7 Texas.
Has done a really, really good job, and really where they, you know what they had last year in Atlanta in their offense. You know, Matt Ryan coming on and really playing well beyond his rookie year. I mean, playing well beyond being a rookie. But defensively this year they're better. They're better up front. They can get pressure, and they're better in the coverage game. So this is I think it's going to be an excellent game. But that whole thing, when Drew Brees is on the way he is, they are really hard to stop.
The job Mike Smith has done. He was a rather unknown assistant, part of that great class of coaches first year last year. Tony Sperano, John Harbaugh. Here's Parrish Cox bringing back the kickoff. There's a flag down. He's down. Pulled down by the kicker, Tucker. Been an active tackler tonight. Made it to the 48, but there's a flag back at the 29-yard line. You know what else, Matt? I met Mike Smith last spring at a charity golf event. What a very nice person he is as well. First-class guy.
Very down to earth. That's the thing you love about him.
There are fouls on both teams. Offsides on the kicking team. Holding number 24 on the receiving team. Those penalties offset and will re-kick.
Ron Fontenot called for the hold. And while they line up again, we'll check in with Holly Rowe.
Well, this might literally be one of the biggest Texas fans. Kevin Durant, who was so great for them, National Player of the Year, now playing for Oklahoma. You did some smackdown talk on your tweet today about this game. What did you say?
Well, I just said that we was going to win. I get a lot of trash talking, you know, even if I'm going to the store or the mall. I always say OU's better than Texas, OSU's better than Texas. So, you know, I sent the tweet out today, and, you know, I look like we're handling business.
Now, you played in Detroit last night. You guys are off to a 2-0 start. Got home at 2 a.m. Why was it important for you to get out here tonight?
Just to represent, man. Just show the guys that I'm supporting. And I always like to watch football, man, especially on the sideline. So it's been fun.
You go back each summer and help the basketball guys get better. Why is that important to you?
You know what? They help me just as much as I help them. You know, it's always good to go back and first off go to school and just to also work out with them. So they're like a family to me.
All right, guys, he's looking good on the sideline, but I have to give him a little grief. Check out these sneakers. I mean, I wasn't sure if this was a Muppet or Bevo, but he says they're called the Savage Beast, and they're styling. They're looking pretty sweet.
All right, Holly, thank you. Oklahoma City, about an hour and 15-minute drive from Stillwater, where Kevin Durant laces up those sneakers these days. Parrish Cox another return. This one out to the 38. Texas is going to be very good in basketball this year if the preseason polls are right. Some of them starting to come out, and Texas in the top 5 in the country in a couple we've seen already. Coach Rick Barnes has done a wonderful job in Austin.
See Kevin Durant, one of the things that interests me, he said, especially from the sidelines. And that's one of those things I think that every football fan should have the opportunity to do, is watch the game from the sideline. And you can see how big they are, how fast they're moving, and just how brutal those hits are inside. Because television makes everything relative.
Well, the collisions look and sound a lot louder and impactful when you're on the sideline. Keith Tostin tackled by Ben Alexander after a gain of a couple. We're ticking down to 2 minutes left in the third quarter. Texas leading 41-7. The exact score by which they won last Saturday night at Missouri. And Oklahoma State's going to see a 5-game winning streak come to an end. And unless they can have a dramatic comeback beyond anything Texas has done to them over the years. Tostin taken down by Sergio Kindle with help from Roderick McElroy. Tuesday, 8/7 Central on ABC. They will bring us hope. They will bring us peace, and they will change our world forever. Other than that, they're not going to do much. It's ABC's new series premiere of Bees, Tuesday at 8/7 Central on ABC.
Other than that,
yeah, they ought to have higher goals.
Change our lives forever.
And then do some other stuff. 3rd down and 6. And Robinson throws. Good adjustment to the ball by Hubert Anium. He swung down by Curtis Brown. But it's a first down for the Cowboys at the Texas 41-yard line.
Zach Robinson, he keeps on throwing it out there, and that's a back shoulder throw. He purposely underthrows it. Anium comes back to the ball. They get the big play.
18-yard gain. They come quickly back to the line. And Tostin for nothing. McElroy there again.
There's a player right there, Sean. Roderick McElroy. Every time you put on any tape that involves Texas in the run game and the pass game, McElroy's all over. Runs very, very well. He has a good instincts, good nose for the ball, but he's a very good diagnoser, good key and diagnose guy, and gets and flows very, very well.
You asked Mac Brown, we visited the other day, who were the guys on defense you could least afford to lose. He said Sergio Kindle, Roderick McElroy, and Earl Thomas.
Yeah, three pretty good players. They've done a good job here today on Kindle.
Less than a half minute to go. Tostin again. Interesting, Matt, that we saw Kendall Hunter for the first time since the second game of the year. But just a very brief appearance, and we haven't seen him since. Now it doesn't make any sense to play him in a 34-point game. You might as well give that injured foot another week to heal up.
Absolutely. And, with him, you'd want to see exactly what kind of football shape, game shape, obviously, he doesn't have. You want to see exactly what kind of shape he's in, and he needs to be running and getting in shape on that foot.
So would that be a reason to play him even though it is a 34-point game?
No, I'd give it some time because those foot injuries are tough. There's one of those things they say it's going to be 6 to 8 weeks and ends up being 10.
Third quarter dominated by Texas. They harassed Zach Robinson, and as we go to the fourth, 41-7 for Mac Brown and the Horns. Do is get a look at those kids in those attractive outfits. A lot of our crew members were dressed up last night for the annual bowling tournament for our crew.
There was some beauties there, let me tell you.
We'll get a look at some of those images later on Saturday Night Football, presented by Southwest Airlines. On to the fourth quarter we go. Zach Robinson takes it down and runs for Oklahoma State on 3rd and 12. He swung down at the 40-yard line by Keenan Robinson. They want to call. Did Mike Gundy? He went charging after the officials, gesturing he thought it was a horse collar.
Well, he gets a good stiff arm on him, and then a little bit of football going on down there.
4th and 9. They'll go for it from the Texas 40. Down 41-7 in the opening moment of the 4th quarter. The 2 out of 3 on 4th down tonight. Robinson wobbles one up for grabs. There's a flag down in the secondary. The pass is picked off by Shockey Brown. It would be the 4th of the night thrown by Robinson if it stands. He came into the night with only 3 interceptions thrown all year.
Well, they got some pressure that time. Mack Brown said they needed to get pressure on that quarterback.
Pass interference, number 84 of the offense. That penalty's declined. First down, Texas.
For that kind of night for Hibernian and for the outstanding Texas defense. Their 4th interception of the night. 2nd of the season for Shockey Brown, the junior for Houston.
My top pick.
So highlights and updates from the Dallas-Fort Worth area. There'll be plenty on there about this outstanding performance by the Texas Longhorns. Shockey Brown's interception gets the ball back for Colt McCoy. He's still in there with 14 minutes to go. He was taken out last week at about this juncture early in the 4th quarter at Missouri with the game no longer in doubt. And they got the freshman Garrett Gilbert, very highly touted freshman, some playing time against the Missouri Tigers. Holly?
Guys, you know, Texas has been on the other end of plenty of 4th quarter comebacks in this series, so they're not taking any chances right now. They're keeping Colt McCoy in. The coaches here on the sideline just told him, be smart with the ball. And the other players are running up and down on the sideline saying 60 minutes. They don't want to take anything for granted here.
Well, they've been in complete control from about the middle of the 2nd quarter. And Colt McCoy has been in complete control.
Cody Johnson just did get out of the end zone to avoid the safety. He got driven back after he reached the 4-yard line. Patrick Levine leading the defense. And of course, Colt McCoy, as we mentioned, a Heisman candidate in a wide open field. And I don't think anybody would advocate running up the score, and they're not, I don't believe, doing that. And Mack Brown is probably less guilty of that than anybody can think of in college football. But you know, they'd like to see this young man go out with the most prestigious individual award in college football. I don't think he'll be throwing it much from here on out.
I don't think so either, but he has the next 4 games coming up with Central Florida, then Baylor, Kansas, Texas A&M. He's gonna be able to throw some numbers up there.
He got planted after he got rid of it. Nigel Nicholas hit him. Of course, the flip side of it is if you leave him in, he gets hurt. Your season could unravel when the outcome of this game is really no longer in doubt. Holly said Texas knows Oklahoma State's explosive, but you certainly have to believe this one is not up for grabs.
Yeah, they got pressure. They're getting pressure. I'd be a little concerned. This offensive line today for Texas, they've given up some pressure, and there's been some times they're only rushed 3. They had good coverage, but they were still able to redirect Colt McCoy a few times. So that's an area where they can definitely improve that offensive line.
Low line drive punt by Justin Tucker. Just right to be returned by Parrish Cox. And he brings it back to the 28-yard line. We again remind you that tomorrow at noon Eastern on ABC, the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup continues from Talladega. Is it AMP Energy or AMP Energy?
I have no clue.
I've heard it called both over the year the last few days. AMP.
I'll go with AMP.
They're all amped up and energetic in Talladega. Why wouldn't they be? Great track, great history there. Noon tomorrow, NASCAR Countdown on ABC. Have you picked Mark Martin to win every week?
Yes, I have.
He's kind of in a slump right now.
Yeah, he has been. He was the points leader there for a while, and then it went the other way.
Bo Johnson, the ball carrier. He got a couple before Dustin Ernest, backup linebacker, made the tackle for Texas. They're starting to get some of the reserves in on defense. Man, I think this is the best team I've seen this year. I know they're 3rd right now in the BCS standings behind Florida and Alabama, but this is the best team I've seen in person or on TV.
Yeah, I think that we've definitely seen that this is by far the best team. There's a couple teams that I watched on tape, though. The Alabama team is a talented team, Florida's one of those teams. They just find a way to keep winning, and they did it again today in big fashion. They have the speed and they have a good defense. I've only watched them on tape. I've only watched Alabama on tape. But certainly what we've seen, Texas has been by far the best that we've watched.
They're about to go to 8-0. Of course, Iowa, another high wire act. They've come behind in 8 of their 9 wins. They're not likely to gain ground in the BCS standings when the next numbers come out. And how about Oregon? Go back to what we were talking about, that disastrous opening at Boise State, then the ugly post game with LeGarrette Blount. You have to give Chip Kelly a lot of credit. Took major disciplinary action. A lot of people thought their season might unravel, but instead they bonded together and they played as well as any team in the country since. Of course, their continuing good performances helped Boise State's cause with an eye toward those BCS standings.
You know, the mark of a good team is that they continue to improve, and that's what Oregon's done. As the season's gone on, they've gotten better and better and better each week.
You know when I knew I was going to like Chip Kelly? When he got the letter from the fan who was upset about the money spent to travel to Boise State to watch that bad performance, and Chip Kelly sent him a check that here's the money to cover your trip.
That's great.
I believe the fan sent it back, but it was very impressed by the gesture. Keith Toston carries down to the 11. We check in with Matt Weiner. Tim Tebow in that rivalry game making a Heisman statement of his own.
Yeah, absolutely. And he started top, and he's not disappointed. He has him still #1. And I think he went past Herschel Walker, which is saying something, a Heisman Trophy winner.
Either Tebow and McCoy, they've really been up to where they were last year. And in the most recent ESPN.com poll entering today's action, they were both trailing, were Tebow and McCoy. Mark Ingram of Alabama and Notre Dame's quarterback Jimmy Clausen. I think with these performances today for Tebow and McCoy, they will garner more attention in the ESPN.com next Heisman poll.
Yeah, that Ingram's a good player. Yeah, he's really good. But I'll tell you, the guy who's putting together a really good year is Clausen. Clausen only has 2 picks. I think he's got 20-some touchdowns. He's having a very good year.
Bo Johnson carries on 2nd and goal. Back to the line of scrimmage, and that's it. 9:45 to go. Well, I thought Colt McCoy should have won it last year. I voted for him. I mean, you could make a strong case for Sam Bradford, who obviously did win it, or Tebow or McCoy. And McCoy had the phenomenal year passing, the record 76.7% completions, and he led his team in rushing, over 560 yards.
What I like about him, he's a coach on the field, and the game's never too big for him, and he's always in control.
To the end zone, it is caught, and it's inbounds, a touchdown for Justin Blackmon.
And that's a well-thrown ball to the outside where only Blackmon can get to it. Let's see, over the top. Well done in terms of tracking the ball. He beats Beasley over the top, but that's a good ball.
His first career touchdown. Redshirt freshman out of Ardmore, Oklahoma. And the first touchdown pass of the night for Zach Robinson. Extra point good by Dan Bailey. Coming up, another stirring rendition of Milling Around.
Oh, yes, stirring away.
This week's topic, the best running back of all time. At our crew bowling party, they really got into the outfits. Mike Roig, our director, won for his costume.
A little too comfortable in that costume. That is Michael Jackson imitation going on. He walked into that bowling alley and felt like Doug Flutie at that mascot camp. People everywhere.
As our coverage of Saturday Night Football continues, presented by Southwest Airlines. Jay Monroe brought the kickoff back to the 25-yard line, and we bring you the Pacific Life game summary. Texas defense 2nd in the country in total defense for the year, and the emphasis this year on takeaways, and boy, has that come to the forefront tonight. Colt McCoy, his usual self, not the huge numbers in terms of the passing yards, and Zach Robinson having one of the worst nights of his career. He's thrown 4 interceptions, the most he's ever thrown in a game here. But he was emerging, starting to get a little Heisman talk prior to tonight for the great job he had done leading this team into the top 15 in the BCS standings without Des Bryant and Kendall Hunter.
Yeah, like you and I talked about, he solidified the group, and he kind of took the team on his shoulders, really absent the big play makers like you talked about, and he started spreading the ball around, and they started to have success. And that's, you know, that formula went into this game, and they used the same formula. What got them tonight, though, was a good Texas defense. I mean, that's the difference, really, in the football game tonight.
Saw Garrett Gilbert, one of the most highly recruited players coming out of high school football. Lake Travis in Austin. Hometown young man playing for the University of Texas. We also saw on the graphic the son of a fine player. His dad, Gail Gilbert, played 8 seasons in the NFL. Stay tuned after the game tonight for your late local news on most of these ABC stations. On ESPN, you can catch SportsCenter for post-game analysis of this game, as well as all of today's scores and highlights. Colt McCoy, 16 out of 21 tonight for 171 and a touchdown. He also ran for 34 yards. And now Gilbert has seen spot duty this year. He's apparently the quarterback of the future. Gatorade and Parade National Player of the Year in high school a year ago. And EA Sports is Mr. Football USA. So when you're losing the record-setting quarterback in Colt McCoy, it's not bad to have the best high school quarterback in the country last year, in the opinion of many coming in.
And he's got a big arm. You can see that right away. And he can make all the throws. Has decent movement. It'll be fun to see exactly what he does. And he'll benefit from a good spring, and he'll benefit from an excellent defense, because they're going to get the ball back for him.
Of course, Case McCoy's on his way to Texas to play quarterback. Don't give that job full-time to Garrett Gilbert just yet.
Not so fast.
Go to the backup punter. Don Gold the kick. And Parrish Cox is swung down almost immediately. Good coverage by Dustin Ernest. 33-yard punt as the nation waits breathlessly for milling around.
Boomer and the Gang for Sunday NFL Countdown, 11 a.m. on ESPN.
On Tuesday at 8, 7 Central on ABC. They arrive. They will bring us hope. They'll bring us peace. They'll change our world forever. It's ABC's new series premiere of V, Tuesday at 8, 7 Central on ABC. Promos for that look very interesting.
I've not seen it.
Well, you will. We don't watch a lot of TV other than when you're on it, which is all the time now between your work here and our NFL coverage. On first down, a gain of about 4 for Oklahoma State on the run. And, of course, the TV work now for which you become best known.
Oh, yes.
Milling around.
Absolutely. You know, when you start milling around, what does that mean? That means you're at home, you're doing kind of cutting the grass or whatever you're doing. You start talking and thinking about what the heck is going on with the upcoming game. This week you look at Oklahoma State and Texas, and you can't help but think about the great running backs that each respective team has had over the years. And really, when I think about Texas, you start with Steve Worcester, and you get to one of the hardest, toughest running backs that I've ever played against, in Earl Campbell. He ran tough, hard, low, and fast. And then you start looking over at Oklahoma State and the great runners that they've had. You had Thurman Thomas and Terry Miller, but there's one that stands above all others. And in my opinion, and I've been asked this a lot of times, but the greatest runner to ever grace the field in college football and in pro football, to me, is Barry Sanders. I can remember when Barry Sanders was at Oklahoma State in his Heisman Trophy year, and we were in the locker room, and we're watching him and saying, he can't do this stuff in the NFL. There's no way. The guys are just, you know, they're faster, they're bigger, they're stronger, they're all those things. And then he shows up as a rookie, and we were right. He didn't do that stuff. He did even more. It was amazing. I said one time when I was calling, now that's not Barry, but I said one time when I was calling a game, when God made Barry Sanders, even he didn't know what he was getting. And that was a true statement. That man was the most gifted runner I have ever seen. His equal has not been around, and I don't think he's ever going to be.
Really?
I just think that man, the stuff that he did was so amazing. You know, I once asked him, I said, Barry, how do you see that stuff? How do you get there? He said, I see the same things you see. I can just get there. And I think that kind of just summed it up. He could do things that no one else could do.
Played on some outstanding Oklahoma State teams, as you might imagine, with Barry on them back in the late 80s. Of course, Mike Gundy, the quarterback for Oklahoma State, had back-to-back 10-win seasons in 87 and 88. Mike Gundy is still the all-time passing leader at Oklahoma State, but that's only going to last probably one more week, as Zach Robinson started the night needing 218 yards to move past Mike Gundy on the all-time passing list. Robinson will go over 8,000 this year.
Well, Mike Gundy had Barry Sanders in the backfield, and that helps a lot. And there's no Barry Sanders in Zach Robinson's backfield. Now, this is a completely different offense, and you know, rules have changed and things move on. It's a more passing era. But Barry Sanders, wouldn't matter what era he's in. That guy was amazing.
After the 4-yard catch by DeMarcus Conner, it's Zach Robinson down near midfield. There's a flag down with 4:49 to go. Zach Robinson wears "press on," as you saw the words on the eye black. That's in memory of his grandfather, Frank Robinson.
Personal foul, number 54 of the offense for leg whip. 15-yard penalty, second down.
It's on the center, Andrew Lewis. Zach Robinson was very close to his grandfather, who passed away earlier this month after a battle with brain cancer. Zach had made many visits, about an hour change away, down to Oklahoma City Hospital to visit his grandfather, and said as long as he could remember, his whole life, whenever he'd be with his grandfather and they were parting company, his grandfather would tell him to press on. And with all the challenges Oklahoma State's had this year, without Des Bryant and without Kendall Hunter for much of the year, they have pressed on largely because Robinson has been so good over the last 5 games prior to tonight.
And consistent and steady, and a guy you can rely on. There's nothing you want more out of a player than to be able to trust him. And that's what Zach Robinson has been. He's been steady the whole time.
He went out and played valiantly later the week that his grandfather passed away in a win against Texas A&M. He was tackled there by Dustin Ernest. Young man's had a terrific career.
And this is a good football team. And it didn't go their way tonight, obviously. They ran into a very good football team, like you and I said, probably the best team that we've watched all season long, live for sure, and a lot of talented players on this Texas team, and a lot of young talented players. They're going to be good for a while.
Robinson throws another ball up for grabs, and Anium did a good job to keep it away from Curtis Brown, who was eyeing his second interception of the night.
And that's part of the young, you know, it really shows up in their secondary, but they're good up front. They're good in their offensive line. Well, we already saw what they have coming, you know, the young quarterback, you got running backs. They've got a bevy of talent down in Texas, and it seemingly is nonstop. It's like wave after wave. They just keep coming.
So much talent in that state, and it's such a great situation there. It's a beautiful city, Austin. It's a wonderful campus, terrific facilities, a good education. You got to understand why young people would want to go to school there. Quinn Sharp, the punt, and Jordan Shipley, the fair catch. 49-yard punt, no return. Back for the final 3:28 from Stillwater right after this. And welcome back to Saturday Night Football, presented by Southwest Airlines. Tex and Colt McCoy all over Oklahoma State, 41-14. At one time, we had the largest crowd ever for a home game at Oklahoma State. Over 58,000 here in the newly remodeled, beautiful Boone Pickens Stadium. They spent almost $300 million here. They were into it early, but the Longhorns took control late in the first half, and they've dominated the second half. Outscored Oklahoma State 17-0 in the third quarter. To remove all doubt, Trey Newton, the son of Nate Newton, carries, and here's Holly.
Well, you're talking about this great new stadium. Well, one of the big challenges for opponents is that the fans are right on top of you. So I think Texas has done probably the smartest thing they could do tonight is they erected these banners and poles behind the players' bench, and I have to tell you, it really took the crowd out of the game. There was no harassment over here. We were here for the Georgia game, and people were throwing stuff, screaming, and it was very distracting and loud over here. But Texas coming up with this outstanding solution. Their guys have been able to think. They've been able to hear the coaches talking to them because the fans have been kept at bay. Guys, I think it might be just as important as their X's and O's tonight. It was banners and poles, not X's and O's.
There isn't much that slips by Mack Brown. He talked about that tight sideline situation during the week. Trey Newton, the ball carrier. First down for Texas. Johnny Thomas made the tackle. Stay tuned after the game tonight. Your late local news on most of these ABC stations and over on ESPN Sports Center. We'll give you all the scores and highlights from a big day of college football. World Series going on tonight. Sports Center on ESPN.
See Trey Newton in there. That's my guy, Big Nate Newton's son. An offensive guard for Dallas for a long time. Played in the league. Was a big man and played big. And part of maybe one of the best offensive lines to ever grace the National Football League. His son is he's got some wiggle. He's going to be a pretty good player. I'll tell you this, he runs a lot better than Nate did.
You would think so. Trey 6 feet 200. Drop for a loss by Shane Jarka.
Just a freshman. A lot of talent. You know, this is what we said earlier. Just a lot of good young players on that roster.
And the talent level is coming up at Oklahoma State.
Absolutely.
It's getting closer and closer to the point now where they can almost be on an even playing field in terms of talent. It's still going to be harder for them to recruit, they believe, than Texas. But with this facility now, and with the attention they're getting by being on national TV more and more often, their recruiting level is coming up. The next step for this program is to beat Texas and Oklahoma. They still haven't done it under Mike Gundy. They'll have a shot at Oklahoma later this year. Tuesday, 8/7 Central on ABC. They're still planning on arriving and bringing us hope and peace and changing the world forever. Good luck to them. It's a big agenda. It starts Tuesday night, 8/7 Central on ABC.
You know, Sean, this Oklahoma State team, they're going to watch this tape and they're going to be sick because they had an opportunity early in the game and they let it go. And one of the things that all coaches preach is don't beat yourself, and they did that tonight. I'll bet you to a man they're going to say, I'd like to have that game back again. Now, Texas is a better football team, and they proved it here tonight. But they let it slip early, did Oklahoma State.
So it's 12-0 for Mack Brown against Oklahoma State. Nobody's won more games in college football in the last 12 years than Texas under Mack Brown. Last win for Oklahoma State in this rivalry was 1997. The other one was in 1944. And Colt McCoy with another good week re-emerging as a Heisman Trophy favorite. Most important, they're in sole possession of first place in the Big 12 South. And this was the toughest game that they had left on their regular season schedule. Take a quick peek at what's ahead for the Longhorns out of conference for Central Florida in Austin. Then at Baylor, home for Kansas in the rivalry game at Texas A&M. And should they win them all, they go on to the conference championship game. But the winner of the North is going to be the underdog against Texas if it turns out that way as well. Here's Holly with Mack.
Well, Coach Brown, this turned out a lot differently for you than last year. What was important for your team early in this game?
Well, it was important that we came here ready to play. Oklahoma State's a much better team than they've been the past few years, and they got our respect today. So we came ready to play. We played a great first half, and I thought we really continued to play throughout the game.
You said Colt McCoy was hot. What was so good about him?
He played a great football game tonight. He was smart. He was heady. We didn't have the ball much because we scored with the interceptions. But I thought we're seeing the Colt now that he's healthy. He's excited about playing. We're excited to see him out there.
Coach, it was 41-7 when the fourth quarter started. I heard your players running up and down yelling 60 minutes, finish. How proud of you that that's the message they're taking out of this game?
We're really proud of them and impressed by them because that's hard to do when you have such a great lead, and especially with a game like this that's so much hype. So I'm really, really proud of this team. It's an older team. It's a team that's buying in, but we still got a lot of work to do.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you very much.